Welcome to Get Your Mind Right. Today, we're diving into your questions and insights in our mailbag segment. Thanks to everyone who wrote in. Let's open up the mailbag.
Welcome to Get Your Mind Right Mailbag Edition. Now, today's episode is all about what separates the solid from the savage, the confused from the closing, and the hopeful from the high performers. Now, at the end of the episode, in the backstory, I'm going to tell you about a student council election at a small Catholic school where my fifth grader son accidentally became a political operative. Now, what started out as sibling support turned into a strategy for power, dominance, and a self-declared dictatorship. And trust me, it has everything to do with building elite sales reps in 2025. But first, we're going to open the mailbag. First of all, Dawson Demmett from Boonville, Indiana, he writes in and wants to know what truly separates great reps from the average one in 2025. And then Jason Roberts from Fredericksburg, Virginia, wants to know whether reps should run their own demos or bring in that high-powered hired gun. And then finally, from Newburgh, Indiana, is Nellie Schlachter. And she's wanting to know about ghosted merchants, stalled conversations. She wants a follow-up strategy that works without being weird. So let's dive in. Dawson Demmett from Boonville starts us off today and says, John, what separates the good from the average sales reps in our industry today? Well, Dawson, I love this question. It's the kind of question someone asks when they're already doing well, but they're looking for that next level clarity. So here it is straight. The first thing is, and the separator in 2025 isn't talent, it's integration. Now, here's what I mean by that. Great reps today, they're just not good at talking. They're strategic operators, and they do a number of things. And the first thing they do is they know how to position value, not just to pitch products. Now, knowing how to pitch your product, having a great talk track, that's still important and still exists, but the top reps frame offers in a way that solves big problems, not just shaves pennies. They understand what business owners care about on the back end. And these are big: cash flow, margin, efficiency, much, much larger than any kind of cost savings you're going to wring out today. Now, as strong as after the yes as they are, these great reps, they got to be great before it and after the fact. I'm talking about hand-holding after that approval. Great reps own the post-close process because that's where the referrals live. They got tight onboarding, they prep expectations, and they prevent issues before they pop up. Now, the next thing they do is read the room and adjust with precision. So, Dawson, you know what separates a talker from a closer? Well, the closer senses when to push, when to pause, and when to shut up, and then when to push their way into the decision maker's brain. And the last thing here is, it's football season, so it's time to bring it in. The great closers, Dawson, they operate like a quarterback, not a wide receiver. They don't just run routes. They call the play. They know the full field. That's sales, that's support, that's tech, that's install, that's service. And they make sure every piece clicks. So to your point, has the image of a great rep changed? Well, absolutely. It used to be about being louder than the next guy. Now it's more about being more aligned than the next guy. So if you're building or you're becoming that next level rep, stop chasing flash and start building frameworks. That's how you stand out in 2025. Thanks for the question, Dawson. It's a solid lead off for today's program. Now next, Jason Roberts from Fredericksburg, Virginia writes in, John, is it more effective for the rep to run the product demo or bring in a dedicated demo specialist to close more deals? Well, Jason, this one hits deep because it's a timing question disguised as a team question. So the answer is, it depends. Yeah, that's right. It depends on the rep stage in the sales cycle, the skill set, and what's at stake. But let's provide some structure. So generally speaking, if that rep's early in the process, let him run the demo. Why? Well, it's going to build more trust with the merchant. It keeps that energy level consistent, right? We just got one character involved in the sales process. It's going to save time. That sales rep controls their own calendar. They don't have to make this jibe with other calendars. And the last thing, this is really, really important. If they botch the demo, it's probably just a coaching moment, not a crisis. But let's say we're late in the pop-up pipeline, or it's a great big opportunity. No question about it. This is an easy one. Bring in the closer. Bring in that specialist who does this all day long and hits it hard and is on the mission. Let your hero take the field and let him run wild on it. Okay? You can lose a little bitty deal and bounce back from it, but a great big opportunity that doesn't come by very often and you botch the demo, well, that's going to cost you. In that instance, it's probably enough where you're going to eliminate yourself from contention. Let's let the pros close the big ones. And here's a bonus play. Great reps today, they don't just hand it off and walk away. They frame the demo, they stay in the room, and reframe the results. Think of it like this. Jason, that demo specialist, he runs the highlight reel, and the rep gives the ESPN commentary. That's how you keep control of the deal, and you bring in the firepower. Jason, I love this. This is a great tactical question. Appreciate you. Finally, today, from Newburgh, Indiana, we have Nellie Schlachter. And Nellie's question is, what is your strategy for following up with merchants who ghost you? I don't want to be annoying, but I also don't want to disappear. What's the cadence that works? Nellie, this is one of the most real struggles in the game. Guess what? You're absolutely right. Studies show it takes 8 to 15 touches to close a deal. That's a lot. But here's the trick. It's not just how many times you follow up. It's how you earn every single one. Now, a couple of things here. Most people out there that are listening to this, there is no way, in spite of what they'll tell you, they're touching a merchant 15 times. And you know why? It's not necessarily because they don't want to. It's because they don't know what to say. And they're saying the same thing over and over and over. Just following up, circling back, seeing where you are. They're not adding any value. They know they've said it all before, and now they think they're in the annoying zone. So let's give some framework that you could use with your teams. First of all, it's the 3x3 rule. And this is when you're in the initial phase. What I want in those first 3 days, and this is just a normal merchant that you've originated this lead out of your own circumstances. It's 3 touch in 3 days. Day 1, I'm on an email with a recap and the next step. It's a great way to start, okay? Is I'm getting everybody on the same page and I'm establishing what we're going to do next. I'm going to follow up the next day. If I don't get them, I'm going to leave them a voicemail. And the third day, I'm going to text them. I'm hitting multiple channels when I do this, Nellie, but I'm not spamming. I'm moving with intention. Now, in weeks 2 or 3, I'm going to get in the drift phase. And this is where most reps go away and where you won't. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add value. I'm going to send them articles. I'm going to send them specific information about their situation or their industry types. I'm going to send them competitor examples, white papers, or case studies that we have. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to use pattern interrupts. I'm going to use a little bit of humor here. Nellie, I know you can get away with this. Hey, just checking, see if you fell off the earth or if I assume the raccoons got to you first. Last thing is I'm going to send them voice memos, or I'm just going to hold up my camera to my face and send them a quick video. Okay? That's human. That beats robotic. That beats rote. My last step in this is my re-engagement move. When this thing's going on 4 weeks or more, that's where I don't chase the yes. At this point, I got to find out what the truth is. I'm going to say something like, hey, Bob, I'm happy to close the loop either way. If it's a no, I'm totally fine. I'll take you off my list. If it's timing, let's reset. Now, here what I'm doing is I'm signaling strength, not desperation. And that's your key, Nellie. If your early touches were value-packed and tone-aware, you've earned the right to follow up more than 10 times. But if you say, I'm circling back, checking in, seeing where you are, you're not just annoying, you're now invisible. And that's the difference. You bring the risk, you bring the value, and you stay in the mix until it's done. Thank you, Nellie. This question helps a lot of folks out there. And now for the backstory. Welcome to the backstory, where I take a step back before we move forward. Each week, I share moments that shape me, whether it's my time as a sales rep, my journey as a dad, experiences I had, stories I've learned, or the curiosity that's followed me since childhood. Because every lesson learned today, well, there's usually a story worth telling behind it. Let's get into it. Today's backstory is Bow to My Cruel Dictatorship, the rise of a fifth grade power broker. Now, my kids went to a small Catholic school. This is the kind of school where everything counted and everything's mattered. Not just grades, but behavior, uniform compliance, posture, eye contact. I know this because my eldest, after so many belt infractions, got sent home. His mother had to leave from work, pick him up, and take him home. I'm telling you what, this place ran as tight as a gunnery sergeant's platoon. So when my youngest son was in fifth grade and his sister was in seventh, student council elections were coming up. Now, at a lot of schools, student council is a popularity contest dressed up like civic duty. But not here. This was the Catholic school Hunger Games. One night I'm in the living room and Max, my fifth grader, he's playing PS2, not looking at me, staying focused on the game when he casually mentions, "Yeah, I told everybody in my class I need to vote for my sister." I pause. Your sister? What's up with that? What's in this for you? He nodded. Yeah. She's in seventh grade, so she's running for office, and I'm making sure that my whole class votes for her. She's doing the same thing for me. We're pretty much a lock. And then it hits me. He's now a political whip. He's building a coalition. He's making deals. He's implementing strategy. I said, other than obvious, what's your long game here? So he now puts down his controller, looks straight at me, and without blinking, he says, "Because when I'm in eighth grade, I'll be set up to be the president of the student council. And then the rest of the school will have to bow to my cruel dictatorship." Dead serious. The story here is Max wasn't just supporting his sister. He was laying the groundwork for his own two-sibling political dynasty. That's audacity. That's Big Max energy before he even had the vocabulary for it. And it made me think, how many of us out here are teaching our teams or even ourselves to be rule followers instead of future presidents? Max saw the long game here. And when you're in fifth grader and you're looking at eighth grade, that's half a lifetime away. But he moved first. He didn't wait for permission. He planted those seeds right there. And my friends, that is sales, that is leadership, and that's how you build an empire. One ally, one vote, one move at a time. Now, by the way, fast forward to 2025, he now claims he doesn't remember the cruel dictator comment. But seldom do cruel dictators remember. Well, here's what we covered today. What makes elite reps elite? It's strategic thinking. It's not just smooth talking. When do I bring in a demo specialist? Well, it depends on the deal. What's at stake in the rep? You want to own the frame. And last, how do we follow up without being annoying? Well, you got to be bold, you got to be human, and you have to earn every touch by bringing value. And last, but certainly not least, how can a fifth grader take over a school? And that, of course, is by thinking 2 steps ahead. Now, before we wrap up today, we got time for our quiz. Which of these is not recommended as a follow-up strategy? A, value-driven articles. B, pattern interrupt humor or comments. C, calling and saying just circling back every couple days. Or D, personal videos sent via text. Drop your answer in the comments below. And hey, share this with someone who you think needs it. Like it and make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you have questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. Drop them in the box below. See you back here on Wednesday for Get Your Mind Right.